Multiple victims reported after a school shooting in Tennessee. George Floyd's brother testifies in Derek Chauvin's trial, and President Biden responds to the police shooting in Minnesota. This is OU Nightly. Hello and welcome to OU Nightly. I'm Abbi Bennett.
And I'm Kaitlyn Deggs. We begin tonight with breaking news out of Knoxville, Tennessee. A shooting at the Austin East Magnet High School. We're looking live at the scene. Here's what we know right now. The Knoxville police are reporting several people are injured, including a police officer. Investigators say the scene at the high school is secure, but they have not indicated if a suspect is in custody. Students who were involved in the shooting have not yet been released.
And the prosecutors in the Derek Chauvin trial kicked off the third week of testimony, questioning a cardiologist who offered his insight into the death of George Floyd. Camelia Bernal has the latest.
That's my oldest brother, George.
Week 3 of testimony in the Derek Chauvin murder trial underway, with the prosecution beginning to wrap up its case against a former Minneapolis police officer. Cardiologist Dr. Jonathan Rich laying out his opinion on Floyd's death.
I believe that Mr. George Floyd's death was absolutely preventable.
Dr. Rich also testifying that he does not believe Floyd died from a drug overdose. The defense pushing back.
There's lots of things that can make the heart work harder and faster, right?
Sure.
I mean, methamphetamine being one of them.
Yes.
Meanwhile, tensions remain high in the area after a black man was fatally shot by a police officer on Sunday. Police say they were trying to take 20-year-old Daunte Wright into custody during a traffic stop after learning he had outstanding warrants. He got back into his vehicle, at which point police shot him.
This appears to me, from what I viewed and the officer's reaction and distress immediately after, that this was an accidental discharge.
We will do all that is within our power to make sure that justice is done for Daunte Wright.
The defense attorney for Chauvin arguing after Sunday's shooting that the jury should now be sequestered. The judge declined that request. In Minneapolis, I'm Camelia Bernal.
Chauvin's attorney is expected to call his own medical experts to make the case that it was not the officer's knee that killed Floyd. The defense has not said whether Chauvin will testify.
Another fatal police shooting in Minnesota sparks widespread protest. Kolby Terrell is in the news center with the rest of that into the rest of today's national headlines. Kolby.
Thank you, Kaitlyn. A police shooting in Minnesota left one man dead yesterday. During a traffic stop, police were taking Daunte Wright into custody after learning of a warrant for his arrest. After Wright got back into his vehicle, an officer shot him. The police chief says the shooting was accidental, and in the video, the officer can be heard yelling the word taser before firing their gun. Wright drove away but eventually lost his life due to the gunshot. And the shooting took place just miles down the road from where Derek Chauvin arrested George Floyd. After Floyd's death, there were many peaceful protests across America, while some became violent and turned into looting. Daunte Wright's mother, Katie, is calling for some of that peace, and President Biden is echoing the sentiment.
Justification, none for looting, no justification for violence. Peaceful protest, understandable. And the fact is that, we do know that the anger, pain, and trauma that exists in the black community in that environment is real.
Over 500 members of the Minnesota National Guard are now active in response to the shooting. And Oklahoma lawmakers from Broken Arrow and Yukon are challenging Biden's recent executive orders against guns. The two representatives have put out a statement calling Biden's actions unconstitutional. Dubbing their bill the first ever anti-Red Flag Act, they believe Biden is in violation of multiple amendments to the Constitution. Governor Kevin Stitt has also called Biden's plan a total overreach by the federal government. That's the latest from the News Center. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Kolby.
And across the state, the spread of COVID-19 continues to slow down. The Oklahoma Health Department reports more than 200 new coronavirus cases today. This latest increase in cases brings the state's total active cases to almost 10,000. The state's current provisional death total from COVID-19 stands at around 8,000. And Oklahomans and others across the country who have lost loved ones due to COVID now have help to cover expenses for funerals. Nirali Jayswal is live in the newsroom with the story. Nirali.
The Federal Emergency Management Agency has launched a program to offer assistance to those who have lost someone due to COVID-19. Many had to suffer alone during this pandemic as they lost their loved ones due to COVID-19. FEMA started accepting applications Monday for its program to help families with COVID-19 related funeral expenses that incurred between January 20th, 2020 and December 2020.
The emotional part of it wasn't enough. To shell out that much money is just incredibly tough.
The program is funded with $2 billion from the Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act of 2021 and the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. Each assistance is limited to a maximum of $9,000 per funeral and a maximum of $35,000 per application. This should help ease some of the financial burdens caused by the pandemic.
We're really thankful. Again, we're so thankful to our community leaders and advocates and to our community that has lost loved ones, who we have right here, family right here that has lost loved ones. We just want you to know how sorry we are and that this is the very least and just the beginning of what we're trying to do for you as families.
To be eligible to apply, applicants must be able to meet these requirements: death occurring in the U.S., cause of death being COVID, and the applicant must be a citizen and the diseased person does not. Eligible applicants can apply by calling FEMA's COVID-19 Funeral Assistance Line. No online applications are being accepted. Back to you guys at the desk.
And we're seeing clear skies today, but cloudy skies and rain are to be expected throughout the week.
Hannah Gard joins us now with the first look at our forecast. Hannah?
Yeah, guys, we had pretty clear skies this morning, but we're actually seeing those clouds building. It's getting a bit cloudier out there. Temperatures in the mid-60s, and if you notice, that's a lot cooler than it was yesterday. You can see those clouds moving into the area, pretty much covering all of us now. All that dry air is now to our east, and our temperature is much cooler. We're in the 60s, the Panhandle in the 50s already, but you can see where that front is stationed right now over the southeast, but I'll have more on the rainfall that we're going to see this week coming up later in the newscast.
And thanks, Hannah. Coming up, a new part of the country might have to brace for more tornado activity in the coming years. Find out what scientists are saying about where these hot spots might be shifting to and why when we return.
Plus, if you have allergies, you probably know that this year has been a bit worse than normal. We'll tell you how the state of Oklahoma stacks up against other states when it comes to the severity of allergies when we come back.
Welcome back to OU Nightly. After recent deadly tornadoes in the southeast region of the country, meteorologists are wondering if this could be the sign of a growing trend. OU Nightly's Kemper has more.
The rushing wind, the blaring siren. These are the signs that a tornado is coming. Those signs have been commonplace in Oklahoma for years.
When we think about why tornadoes happen in the central part of the United States, it's basically because the ingredients occur there more often than any other place on the planet. And it's simply a factor of geography.
If you think you've been seeing these signs less in recent years, there's a reason for that. According to a recent study, the nation's tornado hotspot has been shifting east for decades.
There's a relatively marked divide where east of that is relatively moist, the ground, and west is relatively dry. We have lots of markers with a couple hundred years of data now almost that go through. And that has been slowly moving towards the east.
For decades, Oklahoma has been at the center of tornado culture. Norman's even home to the National Severe Storms Lab. But with tornadoes becoming more frequent in the east, meteorologists are worried about what this trend could mean.
That movement east of that divide is what's predicted by climate models as the climate warms. And so this may well be a manifestation of climate change that's taking place that we see on the tornado scale.
The storms may be coming to Oklahoma less frequently, but they are certainly not gone. It's just as important as ever to be prepared for severe weather at all times.
Tornadoes are survivable. That's, I think, the biggest message. You don't have to get underground to survive. Just get as low as you can, put as many walls between you and the tornado, and your chances of survival are really, really good.
Kemper Ball, OU Nightly.
And studies also show that tornadoes in the southeast are often deadlier than tornadoes in the central part of the U.S. And as always, it is important to stay weather aware and take proper precautions if a tornado is headed your way.
And protesters in one Balkan nation known for its ecological issues rally in support of protecting the environment. Emma Sears has that story and more in today's Earth Report.
Several thousand people gathered outside of the Serbian Parliament building in Belgrade this past weekend, demanding that the government protect the environment. The Balkan nation has seen record levels of air pollution and other environmental problems following decades of neglect. The protesters demand a ban on small hydroelectric plants, better environmental education, greener urban areas, and cleaner air. The Netflix documentary Seaspiracy is based on the environmental impact of fishing. It's gained international attention and criticism. The documentary claims that oceans will be virtually empty in 2024 if current fishing patterns continue. But those claims, according to many critics, including environmentalists and conservation organizations, claim that the documentary contains many errors and is vastly misinformed. Critics say that while the film is correct in emphasizing overfishing as an issue, it is incorrect in identifying how it actually affects our ecosystem. And guys, Earth Day is next week, and if you're wondering what you can do to help out in your community, go to earthday.org for some inspiration. Kaitlyn, Abby, back to you.
Thank you, Emma. And the return of sweet and salty treats to campus vending machines may be a sign things are slowly returning to normal. That's just ahead on OU Nightly.
And Hannah, what does the forecast look like for the week ahead?
Well, it's not looking too good if you don't like those cool temperatures. They're sticking around and we'll see lots of rain in the forecast. I'll have more after the break. Welcome back to OU Nightly. It's been a pretty nice day out there. We're definitely feeling those cooler temperatures, but we still have a bit of a glimpse of the blue skies. We're seeing those clouds gathering for sure, and we have pretty strong winds from the north right now. You can see temperatures pretty cool. We're mostly in the 60s in central Oklahoma, some 50s in the Panhandle. Idabel is still seeing 80. They haven't had a cold front move through yet, and you can see where that front is stationed right now. It's not moving currently. We're just seeing it sitting right there, and we have those northerly winds giving us those cooler temperatures in the 60s, but our drought conditions still pretty bad across the state. You can see in the south, we are still having those abnormal drought conditions, but here's the good news. Plenty of rainfall this week. We'll see rain chances tonight. Most of those are going to be in the southeastern parts of the state, and there is a marginal risk for severe weather. This is mainly going to be some stronger thunderstorms, but in the southeast, we could see a bit of a severe threat there. The main threat's going to be up to quarter-size hail with these. Could see 60-mile-per-hour wind, and we could see some flooding if we see a lot of rainfall with these storms. So we'll take a look at the timing here. This is going to be late tonight is when those storms will move through the southeast, and this trend will just continue throughout the week. We'll have another round of rainfall on Tuesday. This is Tuesday night. We'll clear out into the morning Wednesday afternoon into the evening. More rainfall, and that's going to be more widespread. Then into the end of the week as well. Thursday, seeing more rainfall, and that'll be more widespread into Friday when we'll see a cold front moving through, bringing us more chances for moisture. Now, this is because of our upper level weather pattern. We have two low pressure systems sitting above us to the north, giving us these zonal winds. These are when they're horizontal. That's why we have those below seasonal average temperatures, and we'll see that rain coming from little disturbances in the pressure gradient there. But you can see it'll start to maybe go back to normal by the time we get into the weekend, but those temperatures definitely not climbing before next week. We'll have that future rainfall giving us rainfall throughout the week. It will be pretty nice, but we will have to take a look at our 7-day forecast in just a second. We'll have our day tomorrow looking pretty nice in the 60s, highs in the 60s across the state, but that rain just throughout the rest of the week. When COVID-19 began, some refrained from using OU's vending machines due to the fears of contracting the virus, and in result, they have sat empty. But now the machine's buttons will be pushed again as snacks have returned to campus. Today, Gaylord Hall's staff and students were excited to see the vending machines lights on, stocked, and open for use. With the increase in vaccine distribution, vending machines making a comeback on campus may be a sign things are slowly returning to normal.
And I heard one OU coach has reached 100 Sooner wins. Alyse Jones has more on that in sports. Alyse?
One coach earns 100 wins with Oklahoma and another finds a home in Norman. Stick around to hear about the new era in OU women's basketball. Sports is next. Welcome back to OU Nightly. I'm Alyse Jones here with your weekend sports recap. The search for the next OU women's basketball head coach is officially over. Jenny Baranczyk, the former head coach at Drake, is headed to Norman to lead the Sooners. Baranczyk comes in with 3 straight NCAA tournament appearances, 6 consecutive 20-win seasons, 5 conference titles, 2 Conference Coach of the Year honors, and a 192-96 career record. Baranczyk will officially be announced in a press conference tomorrow. And speaking of championship mentality, OU softball continues to dominate on the mound, moving to 30-0 after this weekend's games. The Sooners run-rolled Mississippi State 9-0 on Saturday afternoon, then swept Louisiana Tech 10-0. Both games were over in just 5 innings. Oklahoma scored a combined 19 runs on 17 hits and held their opponents to just 1 hit apiece. And staying on the mound, OU baseball nearly swept the Kansas Jayhawks, taking home 2 victories in their 3-game series. Oklahoma claimed Game 1 10-4, making history as head coach Skip Johnson claimed his 100th win for the Sooners. They later fell 8-7 in Game 2, but rallied big in a 14-2 victory to wrap up the series. And the College Gymnastics Association announced nominees for several awards, and 4 OU men's gymnasts are up for these awards. Senior Gage Dyer was nominated for Specialist of the Year, freshman Zach Nunez for Rookie of the Year, and junior Vitaly Gumares for MVP. Senior Matt Winsky was announced as a finalist for the Neeson Emery Award last month. And the #1 ranked men's golf team made a comeback this weekend in the final round of the Aggie Invitational, but fell short in a playoff with Texas A&M. This tournament concluded the regular season, and the Sooners finished with 10 straight top 3 finishes, the best mark in a season under coach Ryan Hibble. And the women's golf team wrapped up a 3-1 match play victory yesterday against Tulsa, giving them a strong start in the 2-day round-robin match play event in Stillwater. And moving up to the next level, the Masters concluded this weekend, and the ultimate trophy was claimed as Hideki Matsuyama became the first Japanese winner of the infamous green jacket. Matsuyama closed with a 1/73 and a 1-shot victory in this career-changing moment for the 29-year-old. Here's what he had to say about the moment he became the Masters champion.
When the final putt went in, I really wasn't thinking of anything. But then hugging Xander, but then when I saw my caddy Shota and hugged him, I was happy for him because this is his first victory. And then it started sinking in, the joy of being a Masters champion.
And the Minnesota Twins, the Wild, and the Timberwolves have all postponed games scheduled today following the fatal police shooting of Daunte Wright. The professional franchises have chosen to do so out of respect for the tragic events that occurred in the area. And for more sports news, tune into Sooner Sports Pad tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. on Bally Sports Oklahoma. Kaitlyn, Abby, back to you.
Thanks, Alyse. Now stick around. How 2 chefs are looking to help those without a taste or smell.
We'll give you details on that story and more straight ahead on OU Nightly.
I'm Addie Crawford at the OU Nightly Update Desk. New information has been reported from the high school shooting in Knoxville, Tennessee. Police say that 1 person has been confirmed dead and someone is now in custody. The officer injured was shot at least once and his injuries do not appear to be life-threatening. There are no other known gunshot victims at this time. That's it for now. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Addie. And if you lost your taste or smell as a result of COVID, you're in luck. 2 chefs created a cookbook with recipes for those with a missing or distorted taste or smell.
These recipes avoid foods that taste pretty bad if you are missing your smell. They include ingredients such as mint, wasabi, and cinnamon to help those still be able to taste their culinary creations.
And Hannah, before we close out, do you have any last updates for us?
Well, yeah, we will see some rainfall in some parts of the state tonight. You can see in the southeast, we'll be seeing some storms moving through. They could be a bit thundery, but this is just going to be the case all week long. We're going to see these afternoon rain showers pretty much every day until at least Friday. We could see some scattered showers on Saturday, but then after that, as we go into the beginning of the next week, it looks like we could see some warmer temperatures. So the rest of the week's just going to be pretty dreary.
And thank you for tuning in to OU Nightly. We're live every weekday from Gaylord Hall on the campus of the University of Oklahoma.
We'll see you back here tomorrow night, live at 4:30. Good night.